Well, the debt deal finally passed, and it's not as bad as it could have been, but we still have to discuss some changes that impact environmental policy. So let's get into it. Hey y'all, it's Becky here from the Beckisphere, where we talk about climate change and the clean energy transition. If you care about those issues, give this channel a follow and let's dive into the debt deal. The split Congress finally passed a debt reform deal that cuts certain budgets in order for the government to not default. From an environmental standpoint, this deal was mostly not in the planet's favor. There were three main changes included in the deal, so let's break it down. First, the approval timeline for the controversial Mountain Valley Gas Pipeline project was expedited, making it practically impossible for environmental organizations to block it with lawsuits at this point. The pipeline project was already well on its way to being approved because President Biden needed to promise it would be approved for West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin to support the Inflation Reduction Act last year. Manchin is the most fossil fuel funded person in Congress by far. So at the end of May, we saw the Bureau of Land Management process the right-of-way application and the Forest Service give it the okay. Equitrans Midstream Corporation's $6.6 billion project will bring fracked gas 300 miles from the Marcellus Shale fields in West Virginia to a facility in Virginia. Besides adding to the fossil fuel infrastructure at a time when climate scientists have clearly indicated that no new projects should be approved if the world is to maintain a stable climate, the pipeline will invade Jefferson National Park and cross nearly 1,000 streams and wetlands on its way to its destination. These are the main reasons why environmentalists have protested this project for years now. Before the debt deal, environmentalists were still able to block the project in courts, but now that pipeline project is pretty much invincible. Another change made in that debt deal that will impact the environment is it requires environmental assessments of energy projects to take no more than 2 years now. Usually these processes take around 5 years to complete. It also reduced the page count environmental reviews can be, likely to reduce the use of graphics and maps that can make the assessments more understandable to the public. It would allow projects to pay an outside company to write the impact review too. The deal also requires one agency to be appointed as the head of the environmental review process when many agencies are involved. So on the bright side, these changes could speed up clean energy project approvals and organize who's in charge of the process. On the downside, it could speed up fossil fuel projects and make it more difficult for the public to understand project impacts. It potentially provides a huge loophole to fossil fuel companies by allowing them to hire non-government groups to do environmental review, which gives a similar energy to the Norfolk Southern using the company to assess air and water contamination after the train derailment. Agencies would have to exercise serious oversight for this not to become a problem, which they just really haven't shown like they're going to do. This deal also doesn't seem to make any difference on how fast transmission lines are approved, which is one of the biggest barriers for the clean energy transition right now. And how much this will actually impact the timeline of energy projects depends on who you ask. Because this new rule gave no additional funding to the EPA to hire more staff to help make things go faster. So there's not really any way that this rule could be followed or necessarily reinforced. There were originally a lot more painful efforts to defang the National Environmental Protection Act, or NEPA, in the debt deal written by the GOP members, but numerous revisions reduced any damage it would necessarily cause. Maybe the biggest impact to NEPA's influence is actually beyond the US's borders. The deal made it so extraterritorial projects don't need environmental reviews at all, at least not on the US's side of things. And the third change the debt deal made is something that will actually benefit the clean energy transition. Let's end things on a bright note, shall we? That's that energy storage projects will now qualify for an accelerated permitting process that was originally only available for transportation projects. This will help make wind and solar more reliable forms of energy generation. So overall, what do you think of these changes? Let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, remember to talk about the climate crisis every single day and to support your local news organizations.
Thank you so much to the people on Patreon who help support me and my fur baby Rue.
A special shout out to the climate confident and courageous David H., Norman Anal, Greg H., Paul B., Phil Plasma, Dan Morton, Nate, Specker, Bree C., climate teacher John J., Deanne, Steve, Kevin Morton, and SKP Joe Korsgold. I greatly appreciate your support of $5 or more. If you would like to support the Beckosphere, please check out the Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links in the description below for reoccurring or one-time payments. Bye for now.